I think I'm going to look more at HughesNet and see if anybody is using HughesNet or other satellite services. Tell me your experiences in the comments, because odds are some of you guys have used it. My experience from a long time ago is they weren't very good, and others like them. Snow and rain, and it just wouldn't work. But that's really not a problem out here. So consider I have nothing now. If it worked most of the time, I'd be okay with that.
Hello and welcome to, Carlin's Worlds. Yeah, that should work. I'm a wanderer, a tinkerer, sometimes a nomad, a military veteran. I do things differently. There will be tinkering. I have a motorcycle, a truck, and a school bus. I live off-grid, so there will be some solar, batteries, inverters, and maybe even some wind. It blows. And that's all I can fit into about 30 seconds. Oh, and please, if you like any of this, it would be really awesome if you could subscribe and click that notify bell. Drop a comment if you have any questions or ideas. Share, like, comment, subscribe, notify. Oh, and Patreon if you're really an awesome kind of person. Cool. On with the show already.
So yeah, it's a little bit after 7. It's basically dark or darkening outside. It's darkening. I think that's actually a proper word almost. So, I'm not going to rattle off a bunch of numbers, but I'm considering, this is something I've resisted for quite a while. I'm looking more seriously at some kind of internet, like satellite internet probably, because I'm too far out for anything else. If I switched over to Sprint, I think I could get coverage here, but I'm already switched once, and I like my carrier. I'm using Google Project Fi, FY. It's probably not well heard of unless you're a huge Google fan, but I like how their service is set up. It's basically $20 a month, $20 for calls and texts. Data is $0 to $60. And then no charge past 6 gigabytes. Okay, so it's $10 a gig. I am using, actually they've changed it again, yeah, okay. So if I use less than 6 gigabytes, they charge me less on the next month, I think is how it works. And then every month starts over again. And you can carry over, I think, a little bit if you're, that I don't remember because I very seldom carry over. But if I go above 6 gigabytes, they just kick in build protection. And they don't charge me anymore. And then when it gets up to a really high level, they slow me down. But it still functions. My phone, I guess my phone still works. I never call anybody. But as far as data, it does still work. It's just really, really, really slow. Now compare that to my prepay T-Mobile plan. I got 1 gigabyte of high speed. Now I'm getting 6. And then they cap me, but it still works. And then when I go over a certain point, then they slow me down. It's like 10 or 15 gigabytes. It's quite a bit. So yeah, 3 days into the month, I've already used 3.5 gigs. But so HughesNet is the one I'm looking at. There's a lot of fees and money and stuff like that. Their download speeds are 25 megabits per second. Now I'm more concerned with upload speeds because, like today, I drove into El Paso to use the library because I haven't yet found closer libraries, but I suspect there is closer ones. I just haven't taken the time to find it. And usually I end up needing to go into El Paso 1 or 2 days out of the month anyway. So I would typically wait until payday, do all my shopping at the Walmart because it's a big Walmart and there's 2 or 3 to choose from. And then I'd hit Home Depot and buy a bunch of stuff. And then, grab a pizza on the way home or hit the Wendy's on the way there. Tractor Supply. There's a bunch of things that I can do in El Paso, some of which I could do closer, but it ends up being, if I drive the opposite way to Van Horn, littler hardware store, prices are a little bit higher. Not a big deal. It's nice and convenient because it's closer. And they do have a fairly good selection. It's fairly good. I think there's a similar hardware store between me and El Paso going the other way, which would be better. It's closer. So that's something to think about. But I usually end up needing something else anyway. So if I could find a library that's closer to work, so after work I could just go hit the library, because that's typically what I do for internet. Now there's a possibility also that maybe some of the restaurants nearby have some Wi-Fi. But like today I uploaded like a 3 gigabyte file, right? It was over an hour long, all right? So since I tend to upload big files, you know, I'm looking at that. Now I can use my phone for some of that, but then I run out of data on my phone. And when I max out, it's about $80 a month on my phone, and then they don't charge me anymore. They just slow it down at the very highest level. It's actually pretty fair. So it's a neat program. Google doesn't have their own carrier service. They are buying wholesale from other carriers. And I don't remember which the other carriers are off the top of my head, but you can look it up. One is not Sprint, because apparently Sprint has good coverage in this valley, and I'm not on that. I do have emergency service, so apparently it would still, you know, 911 phone call would get out probably. What I'm looking at is it would be a fixed, you know, mounted somewhere here, satellite dish. It's one of those, bounces it off the satellite. Now there's a lot of disadvantages to that, but for what I'm doing it would be better than what I have right now, which is nothing. Okay. 10 gigabytes would cost me $50 a month. So what I'm looking at, that would be on top of the $80 a month I'm already paying for my cell phone bill. All right. However, that would take some of the load off the cell phone. And where I'm really looking at this is, if I drive to town one time, I put on about 200 miles, divide by, say if I get 16 miles to the gallon, it's 12 and a half gallons. It's a little less right now, but let's say $3 a gallon equals $37.50. Okay, so if I go like I did today, there really wasn't anything I needed to do except for internet. I went to the library, I got a hamburger, then I went to the library. I didn't do any shopping. So I put in $50 worth of gas today, but I have, you know, I can drive to work probably one more time on that tank between now and payday, so I got another week until payday. All right. If I could avoid one trip to town, $50 a month for satellite internet, now that's not very much. That might be worth doing. Scaling up, I can get 20, so I can get twice as much data for $20 more, so 69. And then they got a 10, a 20, a 30, and a 50 gigs. 50 gigs is $130 a month. All right. Now, for that, I could, here's the other part of it. Now, I do have a lot of spare time, and most of the time, I don't go from here straight to town. I'll do it on a short day, because I have 3 short days a week that I work. So I, work until noon, and then drive into town. I'm already halfway there. So it's only an additional 100 miles on my day. But typically I drive the truck on those days, where I could have driven the motorcycle. Now I could take my laptop on the motorcycle, it's not a big deal, but I wear riding gear, and I just hate walking into a place like a library carrying your helmet and your jacket and your riding pants plus your laptop and all your other shit. I don't know. When you're on the motorcycle, all that stuff looks completely appropriate. When you're 20 feet away from the motorcycle, it doesn't look right. It's a pain in the ass, and it's hot. Now, I haven't tested it. I haven't really talked to anybody who has it. This one review, now I don't know if these guys are any good or not. I just have a bunch of screenshots of the page, so I don't have all of the data. Now, you have a choice between buying or leasing the modem and the dish, and it's a 2-year contract. All right, so, you're kind of committed, and I really try not to do contracts, but my cell phone is not a contract. It's a month-to-month. If you do run out of data on your plan on the satellite now, you can get it for about $3 a gigabyte in sections. So you can buy 3 gigs, 5, 10, or 25, and it comes out to $3 per 1 gigabyte. Now that's not at a great price, but it's an option. All right. And if I ever get to the point where I'm making money on YouTube, then that's a business write-off, and I will just say YouTube money pays for satellite internet, and we're great. So that's something to think about. The other thing that is interesting to me, they have a bonus data or bonus zone that gives you an extra gigabytes of data a month with whichever plan you choose. You only use it from 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. It would not be a big deal. I mean, like for instance, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So that would give me 4 hours that I could upload videos. First thing in the morning when I first get up, I could fire up the laptop, upload the video that I edited the night before, and that would come out of a separate data chunk than my main data chunk. So in essence, I could have 60 gigabytes, 50 in the bonus and 10 in the regular for $50 a month. That's not bad. That's more than I get with my cell phone bill. All right. So that's a possibility there. That would be actually the thing that makes the difference. So I didn't save all of it, but this is called HughesNet. And the page that I got it from was reviews.org, and it was 2018 HughesNet Gen 5 review. Okay, that's where I'm getting this from. HughesNet itself doesn't give you very good information up front. They want you to call. All right. Every review I've seen of them, and well, it's practically every satellite company, every cell phone company, and every broadband, digital TV, cable TV. I've never seen a good review on any of them for customer service. It's like they're uniformly just shit. Some reviews will say they aren't quite as bad as the others, and that's the best you can hope for. And a 2-year contract. And, there's a pretty healthy early contract termination fee on top of that. So if you buy the gear up front, it's $350. That's not bad when you think about what you're getting. Or you can lease it for 24 months at $10 a month. So you might as well just buy it up front. If you lease it, they do the setup for you for free. If you buy it, it's a $200 standard installation fee. So your upfront, if you buy it, would be $550 plus $50 a month. That's pretty expensive. Now, the thing I'm wondering about is if I could even get them to come out here, right? And what do they need to mount it? If they could bring their own post and stick it somewhere close by, that would be great. If we want to bolt it to the bus, I'm okay with that. If this is something I could do myself, great, but I think there's some, I can't imagine it's incredibly difficult. You just aim it at a certain spot in the sky. I don't think they have a self-service kit on these things. So somewhere in this review that I'm looking at, though, said that the FCC ran speed tests on them to see if they're actually, if they're selling a certain speed. They're like, yeah, we can deliver 25 megabits per second download speed. That's not stellar. I mean, it's not as fast as your cell phone is now. All right. So here's the thing: is it's not as fast. However, where I'm at, it's the only option I have, really. And there's still a lot of the places that just don't have broadband speed anyway. And I'm really looking at, if I did switch over to something like Sprint for cell phone, I've talked to a few of my neighbors that say they have high-speed internet on their phones out here in the valley. But what most people say, yeah, I've got high speed, and what I need to be uploading, multi-gigabyte video clips. That's what I do. So I suspect that most cell phone companies are going to cringe at that. They might say, oh yeah, here, sign, and then they're like, oh yeah, you're cut off, So the other option would be to stay with what I've got with Project Fi. I can get an additional line with that, which would then mean I'm paying double, and I still don't have coverage out here, but I could get more data then. Another possibility See, that's the thing. I don't want to have what I have plus a second one. That doesn't make any sense. So the way I'm kind of looking at that is, if I got something like satellite internet, picked a plan, I would want to know if I can change plans, or if they're going to lock me in whatever I sign up for. You know, it makes more sense to get the bigger plan for the price. It doesn't cost you twice as much money to get twice as much. So that kind of makes sense. And I'm kind of looking at this as, this would keep me from having to have a day like today where I drove basically, 3 hours of driving just to get to the internet, right? 3 hours in the truck burning gas where I could have been doing something else. And some days on a day off, it's just nice to sit here and screw around on the internet, so it's not all business. Sometimes you just want to veg for a while, and I don't watch cat videos, but just, not do productive things all the time. So I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but if I look at it from a point, well, it's kind of like, okay, here's how I'm going to describe it. A few months ago, part of when I was doing the water project, I bought a used washer and dryer. I got electrics. And I bought that because when I worked in El Paso, it wasn't a big burden for me to hit the laundromat on the way home after work, stay a couple extra hours, 1 day a week, do laundry. Or sometimes I'd stretch it 2 weeks because I had enough clothes, so I could just, let them pile up and then just do a bunch of it and have it done. And but I started thinking about it. It's like, they did have Wi-Fi at the laundromat, and I could have found a better one, but their Wi-Fi was pretty awful. So I thought, well, rather than sitting there, I can sit here. So for a couple $100, I bought a washer and dryer. And I have to run my generator, and I have to haul water. But it gets me time back. And time is something that at the end of the week, you run out of hours. So even if I don't do very much, I can just be sitting here editing video. When I hear the washer stop, I get up, I change it, then I sit back down and edit more video. Where when I was in town, I really couldn't do that. It's awkward at best. So this way I got that 2 or 3 hours back. All right. And then when I quit working in El Paso, then it became much more easy to make the choice to stay out here and buy the washer and dryer. So yes, I do have to haul water, and I have to haul gasoline, and I have to run the generator just to make the washer and dryer work. However, monsoon season, I was able to do several weeks worth of laundry with rainwater. So that became a lot easier, and it doesn't take that much gas to do a load of laundry. Even if I run the electric dryer, it's not that big of a burden. So I think it's pretty close to an even match. Paying for the generator gas versus doing laundry in town, it's actually not that big of a deal. So if I can take that same analogy and apply it to the internet, if I could have internet here on the property, and probably still upload some of them on my phone, and then some of them from the satellite, so I don't use up too much, and don't waste a bunch of time screwing around on the internet. Because I've still got 32 and a half hours I'm working where I have cell phone coverage, so I can catch up on Facebook when I'm working, because I'm not that busy at work most days. There's, let's say the first 3 hours I'm there is pretty much don't look at the phone, just hammer it out, get done what I'm doing. And then it's, you're waiting for a customer to walk in. Some days you're busy, some days you're not. Okay. Some days I have taken my laptop in, and I can use, make my phone a hotspot and pull internet from the phone to the laptop, and that does work pretty well. So that's always an option. I could also get a portable hotspot for the laptop, but I've already got the phone, so, you know, it doesn't make any, there's no advantage to having one or the other. A third rather radical option that I have actually thought about, I haven't considered it very strongly, but I can't use internet at work, as far as, you know, I can't take my laptop and plug it into the internet at work. Two reasons actually. From a practical point of view, they would frickin' have a cow, because you're compromising their network, and so that's just a huge deal. You know, you're dealing with the government and everything, so they'd be freaking out. So just don't even go there. However, at least in town, there is a little internet company that has basically, I guess it is DSL, so internet through phone lines, digital subscriber lines. And I'm tempted to call them up and just to see, you know, what their basic price is. And then, you know, the bureaucracy of getting this to work at work would be just a nightmare. So I'm kind of reluctant to even ask, but, you know, if I could pay a price to get a separate line put into work that I would pay for out of my pocket. So it's nothing to do with them, it just happens to come into their building, and then I'd have my own DSL line at work, and then I could run my laptop on my line and not touch their stuff at all, right? Anywhere but the government, you could probably get away with something like that. So it's very unlikely I could even get that approved, you know. Even though I'm not touching their stuff, it would be just another hole in the wall, my line comes in, I'd have my little corner, plug in my laptop when I'm there. I can't remember, but I think my internet was $30 or $40 a month the last time I had it. So then I'm at the same thing. I might as well have it out here, you know. The only advantage would be, as I think most of the broadband wired internet services, I think they're flat rate. I don't think they charge you by the gigabyte. I might still ask them though. There was one last thought on that though that I did consider briefly. And this one could almost work. That internet company that I'm talking about at work, their office, or not office, but their building in town is literally across the street from us. And I'm like, this would be a clever hack. Talk to the guy that's there, put a modem in for me at his location, have an external antenna, you know, get one of those directional ones that could beam his internet, or, you know, it would be my internet, I'd be paying for it. Beam my Wi-Fi with the directional antenna from there all the way across the street to my side. And then I could, you know, if nothing else, I could leave my laptop in my truck and start the upload, and then this would be the hack from hell. Put VNC on my phone, connect to my laptop. So on my phone I could be boop, 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 controlling the laptop. So I'm in work, phone is outside. I could be doing YouTube uploads, have all the uploads sitting on the laptop, so once or twice a week, drive the truck 50 miles instead of all the way into El Paso, which is 100 miles. So that actually could work, but it would still cost me another $50 a month just for that. Otherwise, that part could work. You know, I mean, you can have a Wi-Fi antenna that's directional that would easily shoot a Wi-Fi signal a couple hundred yards. That's not a big deal. It would be a one-time purchase. You just buy it, hook it up, and you're done. So, yeah, feasibly, it could be done. And the good part of that is it's nothing to do with work. It's just, you know, coming towards work, but it's not touching work physical property. All right. Now, would they do that? I don't know. You know, what else? Go volunteer at the high school one day a week just to get access to their internet, you know. Or I suspect, this was another idea that I considered when I first moved out here. in town here, there's a few motels mostly. Too little of a town for hotels. I'm pretty sure they all have internet. So one thought was, one day a month or something like that, go rent a room, get a hot shower, watch cable TV, and surf the internet. $50 again, or whatever the rooms are. Or, work a deal with the owner of the place and say, I don't want a room, can I park in your parking lot? Here's $50 for the month, let me use your internet for a while, So you're back to $50 a month anyway. You might as well just do it this way. So it's a funny thing when you're like, the whole idea of being out here is to be away from it all, but when you find yourself driving a long distance just to get to reliable internet, and this is another part of it, is I've ran into a few places that did have Wi-Fi. You go to a Mickey D's or a Wendy's or something like that, and they aren't usually very good internet. And I don't know if they're purposely blocking you from doing something big. I've noticed one of the Wendy's that had been going to for quite a while, at first it would work, and lately it either just doesn't work at all or it's really spotty. So it's not very reliable. Last year I joked about saving all of my fast food restaurant receipts as legitimate write-offs because, for tax purposes, because the only reason you'd really eat a McDonald's hamburger anymore is just to get their free Wi-Fi. The burgers aren't very good. So if I look at it as part of my utilities for my business, that's somewhat legitimate, I think. You can kind of draw the line. So I think I'm going to look more at HughesNet and see if anybody is using HughesNet or other satellite services. Tell me your experiences in the comments, because odds are some of you guys have used it. My experience from a long time ago is they weren't very good, and others liked them. Snow and rain, and it just wouldn't work. But that's really not a problem out here. So consider I have nothing now. If it worked most of the time, I'd be okay with that. All right, thanks for watching.
Well, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, that should work. Cool. I do things differently. Oh, and please, if you like any of this, it would be really awesome if you could subscribe and click that notify bell. Drop a comment if you have any questions or ideas. Share, like, comment, subscribe, notify. Oh, and Patreon if you're really an awesome kind of person. Thank you so much for watching.